Hey there, it's Red. So today I'm going to be doing the Grinch book tag, which I was tagged by Selena from OXXXSnap13. I actually really wanted to do this tag anyway, and she saved me from being really sad and doing it without being tagged, because I originally saw Joel do it from Joel Books, and I was just fell in love with the tag. I really wanted to do it. So then she tagged me in it, so saved me like the sadness of having to do it anyway without somebody tagging me. So thank you, Selena, because I really wanted to do this. Also, I'm going to be reading off my computer because the questions are kind of long. Number 1. Half of the lights on the Christmas tree are burnt out. Name a book series character that started out good but then went downhill. For this one, I chose the Blue Blood series by Melissa Delacruz. This, I'm currently holding, I believe Revelations is the third one if I'm not mistaken, but I just didn't feel like grabbing the first book because it's under a pile of books and it's on the top shelf, and that's both heavy and bad, and I just feel like all the books would follow me and that would be terrible. Funny for you guys, but terrible for me. But I'm choosing this series because I actually, when I first started reading the series, I absolutely loved it. Loved it. I loved the unique take on vampires. I love how you could almost believe that vampires are real. I love how far into history she tied it. It's really interesting. And I really enjoyed it. Like, I read the first couple books and loved them.
The third book was good, but the ending, I absolutely hated the ending of the third book. Not just in the, like, oh yeah, like, you, like, hate what happened and you're invested kind of way. No, I just didn't like it. I really did not enjoy the ending of this book. And because of that, it took me a while to pick up the fourth book. I'm glad that I did because I ended up enjoying the fourth book, even though the beginning was kind of for me because it was picking up where this one left off, and I didn't like the ending of this one, so naturally I didn't like the beginning of the next one. But it did redeem itself, and by the end of the book it was actually really... So then I was feeling rejuvenated and excited about the series again. And then I read the fifth one. I don't know why that book exists. This is such a good series. I have no idea why it exists, because it's just not good.
Number 2. Annoying Great Aunt Sally who will not leave you alone. Name a book that you didn't enjoy, but everyone else seems to love, so it never goes away. I'm not going to dwell on this one because I've talked about this so much, and I've explained this a lot in my videos. So I know there's always going to be that person that's going to ask, oh, how do you not like this book? But I didn't. I've explained it, and you guys probably don't even want to hear it anymore, because I don't. But that would be The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Again, love the movies, don't like the books, not for me. I'm going to leave it at that because I've explained it a million times. Number 3. Your pets keep knocking over the Christmas decoration. Name a character that kept messing things up for everyone else, but you can't pick a villain.
For this one, and the only reason I'm not holding a book for you is because I actually don't own any of them, which I really want to, but I don't know, they're kind of big books, so until I get more shelf space, I'm kind of holding off buying that series, but I do want it.
And that would be Clary Frey from the Mortal Instrument series. Don't get me wrong, I actually like Clary. I think Clary is a good character. I enjoy her.
But I have to admit that she's kind of a child that throws tantrums, and they might even mention that somewhere in the third book, but she really does act like that, and it's so frustrating because whenever anybody tells her not to do something, she has to do it because it's what she wants to do, and she thinks she knows so much better all the time and doesn't really care about how it affects everybody else, you know, and of course it always works out in the end because she's the protagonist, and that's what happens to the protagonist most of the time, is that it works out, so that's great. But
really though, she really messes things up and makes things a lot harder on everybody because she just doesn't think things through, so she's just always messing things up. Number 4. You hear your parents putting out the presents and learn Santa isn't real. Name a book you were spoiled for. I am going to not be original by talking about this book because I think that this is going to be everybody's first choice, and that is Allegiant by Veronica Roth. Okay, so there are a lot of books that can be spoiled. There's a lot of them, right? But something about this book in particular makes people want to spoil it for other people like 100 times more than any other book, and I have no idea why. Pretty much everybody was spoiled within 5 minutes of its release. It's ridiculous. The spoilers, like, you couldn't escape them if you tried. And if you're one of those miraculous people that have managed not to be spoiled by the ending, congratulations. Congratulations. Because I applaud you, because I couldn't have escaped this spoiler if I tried unless I wanted to bury myself in a hole in the ground. And that wasn't going to happen. 5. It's freezing outside. Name a main character you just couldn't connect with. For this, I chose Dan from Asylum. besides the fact that I've talked about this book before, I've talked about my problems with this book before, and I even posted a review talking about the problems with this book, I really didn't connect with any of the characters, let alone the main character. I really didn't. Part of that is because the writing for the book is really mediocre, and you have to have better writing to be able to connect with the characters better. But he was such a flat character. There was absolutely nothing to him. And I just found I found myself really not caring. I didn't care what happened to him or any of the characters. I was not invested in them at all because I couldn't connect on just about any level. And he was just, I don't know. I like it when I feel like characters could, on some level, be realistic people. Their personalities, and this just wasn't. I didn't feel like I was reading about a person. I feel like I was reading what somebody was writing about a person. I don't know if that makes sense, but the character feels like somebody trying to write a character, not somebody who could be a real person. Number 6. For those of you who do not know, this is 6 in sign language, so I promise I'm not dumb. I do know how to count, I do know my numbers, and this is 6 in sign language, not 3. Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, and it's giving you anti-romantic feelings. Name a couple you couldn't stand. So, I really had no automatic, choice. I don't know. There was no automatic couple that came to mind. Because I can't think of any couple that I just absolutely despise. There's no couple that, at least that I can think of, that really, really bothers me. But I do have to come up with an answer. So, I decided to pick Jacob, and I think it could be Emily, but I think it's Emma, from Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children.
Now, I feel like when it comes to this series, there are two people. There are the people that absolutely love this series, and there are people that just don't really see what the big deal is. I would say that I'm one of the people that loves this series. I adore this series. I really, really do. But the one thing that I don't care about is the romance at all. I understand that, pretty much hardly anything happens in the first book. And I understand, taking your time to try to develop, and I get that, but it just feels so unnecessary. I don't really read this book for romance. I read it for the adventure, the mystery, all of that. I don't read it for the romance. And maybe part of that is because there's not a there is a romance there, but it's not one that I necessarily root for. I don't care if they're together. I don't care if they're apart. I really just don't care about them as a couple. I like them as characters individually, but I really couldn't care less about them as a couple.
7. That scratchy homemade wool sweater you got for Christmas years ago but won't get rid of. Show some books that have been sitting on your shelves for a while and you aren't motivated to read, but you don't have the heart to get rid of. So, I'm sure there are probably several books I could have picked, but here's a couple. The first one is Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan. I started reading this. I didn't really get into it. I don't know if I wasn't in the mood or if I just couldn't get into it, but I never finished it. I don't know, and part of me wants to finish it because I know there are a lot of people that love it, and I really want to know what it is that people love because I was impressed with what I read. That being said, I'm also equally or more not motivated to read this because it just, I really have no idea when or if I'll even get around to reading it. But just in case I do, I just can't bring myself to get rid of it because what if? The next book is Shallon, which was actually written by my friend Brittany, and I feel so bad because I know she invested so much into this book. This book is her heart, and she even illustrated it, and she's a fantastic artist. She really is. She's an absolutely wonderful, wonderful artist. She, illustrated everything herself with her own paintings, and I think it was really cool. And even the story itself, it sounds like it would be a really, really great fantasy story. Problem with it is that, one, this is really, really daunting. This is really daunting, and I don't even know if on camera it shows just how daunting it is because I feel like when I look at it on the little screen, it doesn't look nearly as big as it really is, but it's heavy. And it's, for a paperback, it's larger. It's about the size of, across, it's about the size of a hardback. It's really, really thick. There's, I don't know, 800 pages or something. And if you look, the print is really tiny. It's really tiny. And I remember trying to read this, and I couldn't get through it because there was so much, and most of it didn't need to be there. And I feel so bad because she's my friend, and I really think this could be good. On the plus side, I think she's kind of realized that about her book, so she's currently revising it and taking a lot out. So she says that she thinks the new edition is going to be really better, and I'm really excited because I really see the potential in this book. I just can't do it in its current condition. It's too much. It's too much. 8. Grandma got run over by a reindeer. Name a character's death you were still mad about. Warn people for spoilers. You can also use TV or movie deaths. I almost forgot what book I was going to pick. So, if you are one of, like, the hardly anybody that actually exists, I recommend you skip ahead. If you have never read or watched the movies, and you've never discussed Harry Potter to any degree at all, and you have never heard anything about it. Now, I find that extremely unlikely, and I feel like probably almost 100% of the people watching this video will be fine to go ahead and watch it. But because the question explicitly states, warn for spoilers, I don't want to get bitched at for not warning you guys, so I'm warning you. I'm about to talk about a Harry Potter death. And that death would be Sirius Black from Order of the Phoenix. Sirius Black is my favorite Harry Potter character in the books. And so much so that my dog is named Sirius Black. Because I love Sirius Black. He is my favorite character in the book, in the movies, just across the board, my favorite male character. Which is actually really ironic, because he was killed by Bellatrix Lestrange, who is my favorite female Harry Potter character. But I still have not forgiven J.K. Rowling for killing Sirius Black off. Number 9. The malls are overly crowded with holiday shoppers. Name a series that has too many books in it, or went on too long. I have a feeling for what I'm about to pick, I'm probably going to be one of the only people that actually have read it think this, and that would be the GRINCH series by Ellen Hopkins.
And don't get me wrong, they're not horrible. They're not like bad books. Ellen Hopkins is one of my favorite authors. I think she's a fantastic writer. Her GRINCH series is not my favorite of her books. I feel like they're the most popular because this was a New York Times bestseller, and it is really good. But compared to her other books, like not the ones that aren't about this character, these are just kind of subpar to me. I did not start off with GRINCH like most people. So most people could start off with GRINCH and kind of, their opinion of her can grow because they'll read other books by her that are just way more amazing. I started off with Impulse, which is still my favorite Ellen Hopkins book. So reading Impulse first and then reading this just, I don't know. It was good, don't get me wrong, it was good. But just compared to her other books, I don't like it as much. That being said, even though I still liked GRINCH, I have all of the books for the GRINCH series, but I feel like as they progressed, I just got more and more bored. Like with the second one, which I believe is Glass, I think it's Glass, and then I think the third one is Fallout. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it is. Honestly, I got so bored partway through the second one. I just don't feel like it was necessary to create that many books. I was content with this, and I'm sure she was probably just continuing to chronicle, because I think the life of her daughter, because I'm pretty sure that the series, names changed and everything. I'm pretty sure the series is supposed to be about her daughter. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like it is. I feel like I read that. I don't know. I got so bored with it, and I just feel like there really didn't need to be second and third books to this. I feel like I was fine with just this one, because after that I just got bored.
Finally, 10. Now, for those of you who are following all of my ASL number signs through this whole video, this is not the ASL sign for 10. This is the ASL sign for 10. But this feels weird when I'm not actually signing. So, 10. The GRINCH. Name a main character you hate. No villains. Now, the main character I'm picking, it is the main character, so it's definitely a main character of the book. There's no doubt about that. I mean, the book is named for her. But I don't know whether or not she's a villain, because I feel like it's one of those books where who the villain is and who the good guys are, there's just no good guys and villains. There's just not. It's not that kind of a book, because people are flawed and people are mean, and so, but I'm picking it because she's not like any obvious villain. I wouldn't categorize her as a villain. She is the protagonist, so I'm picking her. And that would be Carrie, and this is a bind-up of 3 of Stephen King's novels. It's a bind-up of Carrie, Salem's Lot, and The Shining. But I'm picking Carrie from Carrie by Stephen King.
I love the book, just the fact, because hating the character has nothing to do with how I feel about the book, because hating Carrie has nothing to do with how she's written as a character. I hate Carrie because if she was a real-life person, even powers excluded, if she was just a normal, everyday person, I would just not like her. I would not like her as a person. And that shows that she's extremely well-written, because I could imagine her as a person, but I don't like her. I don't root for her, and I feel bad because I realize she's supposed to be this bullied underdog, and normally I'm the first to root for people like that. But if you read this, you probably understand what I'm talking about. Carrie is just not a likable person. She's just not. I didn't like her. Even Stephen King, if you've ever read Stephen King's On Writing, there's a portion where he actually talks about Carrie, and he doesn't actually like her as a person. He does not like, if he were reading the book, he would not really root for Carrie because he just doesn't like her as a person, and it's just how he wrote her. But he doesn't actually like her.
So that is all for this tag. I am sorry that I kind of droned on a couple of those answers. I just kind of, my words run away with me sometimes. Now is the part where I tag people, but I'm going to try and think of people that I don't think that Selena tagged from what I remember. So I am going to tag Lindsay from Lindsay's Library. I'm going to tag Austin from The Reading Cave. Who am I going to tag? Oh my god, I feel like I should tag more people than this. More people. Who do I watch? I don't know who I watch. I will have more videos soon. I'll probably be uploading a vlog with this video because I'm doing Vlogmas. And I'll talk to you guys later.